Dr. Karen Can here with another edition of the Spiritual Medicine Digest, and I have to admit I am not at 100% energy. I just came back from a Thanksgiving in Canada, and I was definitely challenged, and not the normal or usual way I have been in the past with all the EMF in the big city and all the people and feeling their energy as an empath. I know that can be very challenging, but I kind of did it to myself this time. Well, you see, just before I left for Canada, I decided that I was going to upgrade my higher self to a different being aspect, meaning that instead of my Lemurian Ascended Master higher self from another lifetime, whose light score is pretty high, I decided I was going to upgrade my higher self from that being to Archangel Raphael, who had an even higher light score, basically one equivalent or higher than I am. So I talked to Source about it and made a decision I was going to do that. So I blessed and said goodbye to my higher self that I was born with, because much of the things that higher self wanted to do in this lifetime have already been accomplished. I've already spread the Tolpacan healing frequencies and energies and attuned most of the world's people. So now everyone has the ability to do the Tolpacan healing and Tolpacan healing commands. It's just a matter of practice and a matter of wanting to do it. So there's maybe, a few people that are not attuned because they don't want to be, blocked it, it's not for their highest and greatest good. That is fine. But my goal in that past life was to really spread this ability. And in the past, it was going to take a lot more work and a lot more crystals to do it. But in this lifetime, because of the ascension energies, we don't need to use crystals. We can just create it in our minds. The higher ascension score we are, the more we're able to create things in our minds and have them become reality on the energetic and then later on in the physical level. So anyway, so I had accomplished a lot of what I set out to do already. So I decided to upgrade my higher self to Archangel Raphael. And at the same time, or soon after, my dear hubby James, we decided to upgrade his higher self to Archangel Haniel. So now he had already had some what we would call cold symptoms, and he was detoxing from other things. However, when I was in Canada, I definitely started to detox. I didn't actually think that was going to happen so much, but oh well, I guess I needed to know about it. So I had about 2/3 of my, so-called cold symptoms due to detoxing old stuff, old infections from when I was a kid, that kind of thing, and, causing me to feel a little bit tired, incredibly constipated, which was very uncomfortable when I was in Canada. Thank goodness for the colon hydrotherapist. And also, definitely a stuffy nose. So that brings me to a point. Guess what? Afrin can be your friend. Okay, now you're like, why is this spiritual holistic doctor recommending Afrin? Well, I'm not necessarily recommending Afrin, but what I did want to share with you is sometimes we just have to or want to function, right? So I have very, very busy, 3 weeks, and although I am cutting out a drum and dance today to rest, I really don't want to cut out and stop seeing my patients because that's really, really important to me. So I want to function. And so, you know what? Seeing people with a stubby nose is really difficult, so I'm using Afrin. And here's the thing. Instead of necessarily judging or making everything sound bad, all medicine is bad that's Western, all Eastern medicine is good. It's not about good or bad, really. It's about light scores, and it's about your intention. It's about choices. So when you get to that place where your consciousness is completely sovereign, you can make choices based on your soul's wishes, not someone else's, not someone that's taken over or hijacked your consciousness. So what do we do? So say I choose to use Afrin, which generally is a lower vibrational thing than, say, I don't know, herbal tea. Okay, so I think the light score of this was originally 60 something. So definitely not in the 80s or 90s, right? So what do we do? So the first thing that I do is there's water in it, right? So I charge it up. Now you can charge it with Aqua or 5 if you have it, but if you have my clearing and protection spray formula, that video, you can just play the video and then focus your attention on what's inside this bottle and raise the vibration of this. Yeah, what will happen? Well, first of all, I know there's probably no entities in this particular formula, but what it'll do is raise the vibration and cancel out some of the side effect or the lower vibrational frequencies in there. So hopefully you can tolerate this longer with less side effects or little or no side effects. And so why not raise the vibration and be able to function? Now, in another instance where I had lots of time and energy to, acupuncture myself and photon genie myself and, do whatever. I might not need this, right? Or, I'll put patches on my face, which I did do, by the way. So I do, do what I can, but at the same time, hey, it's nice to feel better. So if you do have to take a pill because you're in pain, just know it's not a permanent thing. You're not going to take it every single day for the rest of your life, right? So just bless it, bless it, run the clearing protection spray energy. If you have my Ascension 1 or 2, it's an easy thing. You just play it and then you focus your intention on whatever it is you want to raise your vibration of, whether it is a food, whether it's a medication, whatever it is. Use Ascension 1 if you want to get rid of side effects as far as the frequencies of side effects. So run Ascension 1 and just have it heal that particular medication or pill or whatever it is. Now this is particularly important because if you do not know, I recently found out myself and didn't get an email about it. I think I've been trying to get off a bazillion email lists. You know how that is, right? Anyway, November 4th, the then President Obama signed an executive order, which basically is probably going to mandate global vaccinations. Now, there's a lot of people against that, and they were really afraid that Hillary Clinton, when she went, she won the presidency, was going to mandate global vaccinations. Well, guess what? That order came into effect very quietly while everyone was so excited about the U.S. presidential election. You know what? So President Obama did it at the perfect time to really kind of blew it over, for all of those that didn't know about it. So there's a very good chance that people here in the United States might have mandated vaccinations in order to, get a job, go to school, whatever it is. So, and say, what if you wanted to, what if you wanted to go to Africa and they mandate vaccinations? What are you going to do? Change the law before you go? If you got a loved one in Africa, you want to see them. So all you got to do is minimize your risk by taking your attention and playing the Ascension 1 or 2, or if you have my free clearing and protection spray, which you can get on my website, KarenCan.com. By the way, just opt into my mailing list and you'll get that free spray among a whole bunch of other gifts as well. So all you got to do is run those frequencies, right, and focus your attention on what it is you want to heal. So for the clear and protection spray, you're going to focus it on something with water. So you're going to focus it on the immunization. You can have it on your phone. So literally you can go to the doctor's office, and, click play and then, just say, hey, wait a second, wait 10 seconds. I'm just going to focus this, focus it on your vaccination before you receive it. So just don't let your mind mess you up and say, oh my God, it's the end of the world. We have to have vaccinations. We're going to have all these autistic kids. Everyone's going to get sick. Well, I suppose that might be true in some ways if you believe in that. And I want to tell you that although those things aren't necessarily healthy for you, same thing with chemotherapy, what you can do to minimize your risk is to elevate the vibration of all those things. Now, can you necessarily get rid of all the chemotherapy side effects? Not necessarily. If someone's convinced they're going to have them, guess what? They're probably going to have them, okay? So there's sometimes their mind can trump whatever is, and I said Trump. Anyway, so their mind can trump your healing of whatever it is that you give them, But if they're open to changing their beliefs and you use the healing energies, then you will increase the vibration and hopefully minimize any negative effects. And there's all sorts of things you can do. You can ask the archangels to, heal it, make it healthier for you. I mean, there's all these different ways. Just the no-brainer way is to use my Ascension 1 or 2, or if you have the free clearing spray, just go ahead and run that and focus on these things so you can, at least have a higher vibration going into your body. So it is not the time for you to be fearful of these changes. It sounds bad. Oh my gosh, we're going to be mandated to do this or that or eat GMO foods or whatever. You know what? You can shift your body to not react to those things energetically. You can cancel out some of those negative frequencies if they're already in you. Very cool stuff, right? Okay, so that was kind of like why I wanted to show the afferent. So there are some things that you can do. Now, 2/3 of my upper respiratory symptoms supposedly are from detoxification, from upgrading my higher self to Archangel Raphael. Well, I asked, of course, what's the other third? You know, what else is causing this symptom? And I got a really interesting answer. I think my brother and my father mentioned it the other day, but I didn't really quite hear like why they were telling me this, but it was reinforced today, and that was that my body, as sometimes I will feel Mother Earth stuff, my body was resonating with or at least feeling, empathizing with some sort of conflict. And I asked where the conflict was, and it was in some sort of sea. So I'm like, oh gosh, I just got this brand new map, and I'm not a geography person. Like, don't play Pictionary with me and be my partner, because if it's a geography question, I'm gonna not do well. Anyway, so it was the sea. So I saw China and Japan in my mind. So I said, is there some place that they are fighting over sea rights or something like that? I got a yes, and I vaguely remembered my dad or my brother telling me about this. So I looked it up today, and sure enough, they are disputing parts of the sea, and the conflict is getting up there. So the light score of the sea was, gosh, I think 11 out of 100, very, very bad. So I decided to send my Ascension 1 there, to the sea, to the people in charge, to the military and all the boats and all the people that are, you know, running the boats in there. And the light score of the sea rose to 97% after I did that. So since my body does empathize with Mother Earth, and definitely stuff that's related to China, then, you know, that kind of explains some of my symptoms. Now, I really wish my symptoms would magically disappear, like now, but it's not happening. And by the way, if you have not seen some of these new movies, and I really like kind of sci-fi type movies, well, Doctor Strange is a comic book. I didn't really know anything about Doctor Strange, but the trailer looked really cool. So I watched that in 3D when I was in Toronto, and I gotta tell you, I was like, oh my gosh, although I'm not like his personality at all. But anyway, but I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much that's going on in that movie that is like my life, like interdimensional beings. And, you know, I think they said something like, the Avengers help with physical dangers. But what we do, and there was like this, you know, nun, monk, you know, and her followers, what we do is we protect the earth from interdimensional and spiritual, you know, things. And I was like, hey, that's kind of like what I do. How cool is that? But there's some really interesting little tidbits in there. And one of them was that Doctor Strange, even though he had these amazing powers, he had a car accident and his injury, sorry, spoiler alert, you know, and he couldn't use his neurosurgeon hands anymore, and they were shaking. And then they realized that one of the reasons is that this amazing energy that he's using, he is using to heal the earth and to protect, you know, to protect the earth. And instead of turning it inwards and using that energy basically to upkeep his physiology and to repair himself. And there was something about that resonating with me. And so he chose to actually be the earth protector versus going back to his old life as a neurosurgeon and using the newfound energies and magic and sorcery, whatever you want to call it, that he had to just basically upkeep his body and keep his body functioning at optimal levels. So there was really something interesting there for me personally. And there's some other really interesting little tidbits, and I won't tell you until you've seen the movie. But there were definitely things that resonated with me in that movie. So, you know, even though some of these movies can be kind of violent, you think, well, gee, that's kind of low vibrational, they're kind of violent, how come you're watching that kind of movie? Well, I'm kind of a sci-fi horror movie buff, although I don't really watch horror movies anymore, but I like magic and superheroes and things like that. There's always a tidbit of light, you know, in any movie like that little bit of source that's saying, hey, I'm giving you a lesson here. Are you hearing me? So that's the really cool thing about these movies. Okay, I'm rambling a bit, so bear with me. Okay, so some interesting things we learned in healing the last couple of weeks I want to share with you. One, as I might have mentioned, certain people have ET DNA in them, so extraterrestrial alien DNA. Now, in the past, I used to think, oh, this is bad, they're making hybrid humans and, yada, yada, yada. But what I have found, contrary to some of this, is that sometimes the ET part of the DNA has a very high light score. And if you're not sure what light scores mean, I recently did an audio where I did a solo interview of myself about light scores. So check it out. We'll post the link on the website. You can check it out about light scores and what they mean. But basically, it's the balance of light and dark. So for ET human hybrids, oftentimes the ET part can be a really high vibration. And it was like the soul. A lot of the ET part was injected at the time of conception, so they came in at the time of conception. I don't know exactly how that works. It's not through sex, but the idea was to create a higher vibrational being as a human in order to do some healing. So I think there's some sort of soul contract for this kind of thing. But what's fascinating is we had one particular person with an archangel as their higher self. I thought, well, this is great. But then we reintegrated their DNA, the ET and the human parts. And I didn't recheck the higher self because, as far as I knew from this recording that I did and talking to Source, you could only have one higher self per person. Well, interestingly, when I rechecked this person's higher self, the archangel had left. I'm like, what the heck is going on? This other higher self is not as high vibration. Well, guess what? That person actually did have two higher selves. The ET part of their DNA had a higher self. The human part had a higher self. And when we merged them and integrated them so they could function in this world, the higher one left, the lower one actually stayed. So I asked Source, why did that happen? That doesn't make any sense to me. Why would we choose that higher self? We would want the higher self, right? So Source basically said, because I just wanted you to know about this and I know you would fix it. Something like that. So I was like, okay, so we needed to learn this. So the person, who we did this for was certainly a type 4 healer, like I am, type 4 healing type. So they knew there were some things they needed to know. So we just swapped out their higher self from the human side to another archangel, which she, preferred. And so now that answers that question of people asking, can we have two higher selves? I said no previously. Well, the answer is yes, but it depends. If you are a hybrid ET human and your DNA has not been completely integrated, you will have potentially two higher selves, not always, but two higher selves. Once we integrate you, then one will remain. That is my current understanding, which might change tomorrow. But I want to share that with you because that was a question that somebody asked me. The other question somebody asked me was, how do you know if you're a starseed or an earth angel or an indigo or an empath? Well, basically, I just connect with Source and I muscle test it. Now, is it 100%? No. It's possible sometimes you're not supposed to know. But most of the time, I'd say 98% of the time, I get an answer that often resonates with that person. And if they're starseed, sometimes that means that they have had other lives that are as a light being or another extraterrestrial that have, that are embodied, that have bodies, that have come into this lifetime as a human to do some healing work for us and the earth and to help the earth ascend. So that's generally, what people recognize as a starseed. People that are half human, half ET DNA, mind you, a lot of times they will be called hybrids, which is kind of a funky name. I think of, the Prius, the Toyota Prius and hybrid cars. So I don't really like that name. I don't have a better name, but that's oftentimes what they call themselves. So I guess we're sticking with hybrid until, maybe you can tell me a better name for that. But that's what we mean by the hybrid, actual physical, DNA shift. And the other interesting discovery, let's see, I wrote this down. Oh, yeah, somebody's microbiome wasn't very happy. So this is in their intestines. The microbiome wasn't happy. And we thought, gee, I thought we made the microbiome happy. And we found, I thought it was a portal, but it wasn't a portal. It was an extraterrestrial gateway, which is a little different from a portal. To me, they're the same. But, anyway, but yes to a gateway, no to a portal. So the gateway was so that these particular extraterrestrials who were non-malevolent, they could harvest some of this particular microbe, a beneficial microbe that is found in the human gut, and they had this tiny portal in a cell that could actually, transfer the microbes to whatever dimension they are. Unfortunately, the dimensional rift that's created by this portal made the other cells around it very unhappy. The other microbes around there very uncomfortable and unhappy, and so that's why we detected it. I never detected that before, and the universal shield did not get rid of it because it did not feel it was malevolent. But these other cells weren't very happy, so we had a happy medium. We decided we were going to close that tiny gateway and close the dimensional rift because that was making the other microbes very uncomfortable and unhappy. And what we did with permission from Source, of course, was to send the frequency and energies of that beneficial microbe to their people, their planet, so that they can benefit from whatever they need it for, and so they don't need to go and harvest it from us specifically. So I know this is really weird stuff. All I can say is I'm the messenger. I just work here. Dr. Bradley Nelson of the Body Code would often say that. I'm just the messenger. I just work here. Okay. So let's see, what else do I need to tell you? Oh yeah, you know what? So many of us empaths are in charge of healing Mother Earth, and it's really great for us to spend, 5-10 minutes a day to do Mother Earth healing. And those of us that aren't muscle testing or don't know what we're feeling, sometimes we can just put our hands around Mother Earth, pretend Mother Earth is between our hands, and close our eyes and just harmonize the energies between our hands. And oftentimes we can feel this energy. It might be like kind of crazy, and then eventually it'll be nice, even pulses. I suggested to one of my patients to do this, and I said, well, you should buy a ball, that has the globe, and then you can do this. She goes, oh, I have something like that. It's Jasper. And I thought, that's great. So she sent me an email about it, and looking at this ball, I'm like, hey, I have something similar. So this is a rock from China. Maybe it's Jasper too. Maybe one of you guys can tell me what it is. It's pretty heavy. And what's amazing is that it receives light and then it glows in the dark. I mean, it's so awesomely cool. I can't believe my parents lugged it. It's so heavy all the way, on the plane and everything. So basically, this is going to be my new world. So this is Mother Earth. I still might get those plastic squeezy balls that have all the different, all the different land masses and sea and everything like that. But so what I'm going to do every day is to put my hands over this and imagine that this is Mother Earth, and I'm going to channel source energy to heal Mother Earth. I can also channel Ascension 1, Ascension 2 of my healing products to heal all aspects of Mother Earth, and just sit here for a few minutes and just feel the energy between my hands. And if I have any aches and pains or any symptoms that doesn't belong to me, that belongs to Mother Earth, I can then travel those symptoms into my hands and bring them back out of my body, back to where they belong, Mother Earth's body here, and heal Mother Earth's body. So sometimes having it in front of you is a lot easier than just empty space between your hands. So if you are an empath and you have a role to heal Mother Earth, or maybe you're an indigo, this might be a great exercise for you to do. Take whatever ache and pain that you have that you think is not yours, and you can actually bring it outside of you and then heal it between your hands. So it's no longer inside of you. Make sense? We got this from the wonderful Lottie Cooper at inspirationalcounseling.com. She did some Blog Talk radio shows with me, so check out those as well. And so this is really neat. Now, of course, I've lit this up, so this is going to actually glow when we turn off the light. And see, it has a little stand, little Chinese stand. Is that cool or what? Okay, I know you're asking, can we see it when it glows? I have no idea whether this is going to glow when I turn off the light. Let's see if I can turn this one off. Oh, other way around. Let's see. We'll play around. Sorry, I know this video is really long, but thought we'd have fun. Let's see. Can you see it glow? It's not bright enough. Bummer. Oh well. That was fun while it lasted, though, hey? Okay, guys, that's more than enough for this week. Thanks for listening in. Subscribe to the YouTube channel below. And if you have not already, and if you don't have my clearing protection spray, definitely get on my mailing list at KarenCan.com. Get lots of free gifts, including the clearing and healing spray video, which was recently updated a few weeks back, and that is more powerful, and you can actually drink the water very easily without massive detox. If you go ahead and charge any sort of water source, you can go ahead and drink that in addition to clearing it, clearing your room and yourself. All right, guys. Love y'all. Have a great week. Bye for now.